Ethan Caldwell, a tall white American billionaire with dark brown hair, stood frozen beneath the tree-lined path of Central Park. The coffee cup in his hand had gone cold, forgotten, as his gaze locked onto three children playing near the fountain. They looked about 4 or 5 years old, with gleaming amber eyes, that rare color everyone said made Ethan's stare haunting. One moment, the world around him seemed to stop turning. Have you ever experienced a moment that made the whole world stand still? Share your story in the comments. I'd love to hear it. The children's black curls shimmered in the sunlight, and when one of them raised a hand to wave at a friend, Ethan saw a tiny crescent-shaped birthmark on the right wrist. His heart stopped. It was the mark his grandmother who had raised him called the moon's blessing, a trait that appeared in the Caldwell family only once every few generations. They couldn't be his children, or could they? Ethan felt the ground sway beneath his feet. Memories from 5 years ago surged like a tidal wave. A passionate night in Boston, in the dim light of a hotel room. A woman whose smile had shaken him, her skin as dark and smooth as ebony, and a mutual agreement: no names, no strings, just one night of unfiltered emotion before returning to their separate lives. He had never seen her again, but now she was standing there less than 10 meters away. The tall, poised, yet wary woman watched the three children with keen eyes. Ethan took a deep breath, his feet moving forward, despite the storm brewing in his chest. The children's laughter rang out clear and joyful, yet it stabbed at his heart like a blade. As he approached, the woman turned, and her deep brown eyes widened in recognition. For a moment, time truly froze. Then her expression shifted to panic, her hand tightening around one child's shoulder as if to protect. "Ethan Caldwell," she whispered, her voice trembling but composed. "What are you doing here?" He swallowed hard, eyes flicking from her to the children and back again. I was walking by, but those kids," he pointed, his voice faltering. "That mark, those eyes, they're—" She cut him off, her tone sharp. "Don't say anything. Not here." She glanced around as if afraid someone might be watching. "If you want to know the truth, we need to talk, but not in front of them." Ethan nodded, his heart thudding so loud he could barely hear anything else. One of the children, a little girl with neatly braided hair, looked up at him with curious eyes. "Mommy, who is he?" she asked, her voice clear but wary. Ethan's throat went dry. The woman gave a strained smile to her daughter. "Just an old friend of Mommy's, Chloe. Play with Liam and Ava. I'll be right back." As the children ran off, Ethan locked eyes with her, searching for answers. "Tell me," he said, his voice hoarse. "They're my children, aren't they?" The woman, he was about to learn, was named Maya Johnson, took a deep breath, her eyes filled with both strength and sorrow. "Meet me at the cafe, at Corner Cafe, tomorrow 9 o'clock. I'll tell you everything. But Ethan, if you step into their lives, you don't get to walk away." The next morning, Ethan arrived at the Corner Cafe 15 minutes early, his heart pounding. The small cafe, filled with the aroma of roasted coffee and soft jazz music, did little to calm the storm of emotions inside him. He chose a secluded table in the corner, his eyes constantly flicking toward the door, waiting for the woman who had turned his entire world upside down in a single moment at Central Park. Maya Johnson entered at precisely 9 a.m., composed in demeanor, but with wary, deep brown eyes. She wore a simple navy blue coat, her curly hair tied back neatly, yet she carried the same commanding presence that had captivated Ethan during that fateful night in Boston. She sat down across from him without a greeting or small talk. "I'm Maya Johnson," she said, voice low but clear. "And yes, Chloe, Liam, and Ava are your children." The confirmation hit Ethan like a punch to the chest. He took a deep breath, trying to keep his voice steady. Why didn't you tell me 5 years, Maya? 5 years I had no idea I had children. Maya clenched her hands on the table, pain flickering in her eyes before her gaze turned resolute. You don't understand, Ethan. When I learned I was pregnant, I was just a nursing intern living in a cramped apartment in Queens. I didn't know your name. I had no way to find you. We agreed no names, no strings. She paused, looking out the window, as if drawing strength from outside sunlight. Then a few months later, I saw you in a magazine. Ethan Caldwell, billionaire, engaged to a famous actress. Everyone said it was the perfect love story. Ethan shook his head, his voice hoarse. That wasn't real. That engagement was just a PR stunt. She needed attention. I needed a clean image for a business deal. It ended just a few weeks later. He leaned forward, his eyes pleading. Maya, I would have been there if you had reached out. I wouldn't have left you alone. Maya gave a bitter smile, one that didn't reach her eyes. Been there. For a woman you met for one night. For 3 children you never expected. I didn't want to be a burden, Ethan. I didn't want my kids growing up under paparazzi lights or being labeled a billionaire's accident. Her voice dropped to a near whisper. I did everything I could to protect them. On my own. Ethan felt a sharp pain in his chest, not from anger, but from the harsh truth in her words. He looked at her and realized the strength and pride of the woman who had raised 3 children, his children without needing him. I don't know what to say. He admitted, his voice breaking. But I want to make this right. I want to be a part of their lives, if you'll let me. Maya studied him, her gaze intense, as if trying to see into his soul. This isn't a game, Ethan. Chloe, Liam, and Ava are smart, sensitive kids. They've asked about their father, and I've always told them he's a good man who just couldn't be here. If you walk into their lives and walk out again, I won't forgive you. She stood up, ready to leave. I need time to think. Meet me at the park next week at the same time. Don't approach the children until I say you can. Ethan nodded, even as his mind reeled. As Maya turned to leave, a little girl ran past the cafe window, her braids bouncing, her amber eyes gleaming. Chloe. His heart ached. Maya, he called out before she reached the door. Why did you name them what you did? She paused and turned back to look at him, a faint, sad smile touching her lips. Chloe means light. Liam is a protector. Ava means life. I wanted them to grow up with names that carried hope. Then she walked away, leaving Ethan with a question bigger than the truth itself. Was he worthy of that hope? Maya Johnson locked the door of her small Queens apartment, the click of the lock echoing in the stillness of the night. She sank into the old armchair, the dim yellow light casting shadows across her tired but resolute face. Chloe, Liam, and Ava were fast asleep in the tiny room they shared, their steady breathing the only comfort after a long day. But tonight, Maya's mind couldn't rest. The face of Ethan Caldwell, the man she once believed would remain nothing more than a memory, was vivid once again, bringing back the years she had battled alone. 5 years ago, when the pregnancy test showed 2 lines, Maya felt her world collapse. She was only 25, a nursing intern with student loans, and an apartment too small for even her dreams. When the doctor told her she was carrying triplets, she nearly fell apart. 3 children, on her own. As a black woman living in a working-class neighborhood, Maya knew society was not kind to single mothers like her. The judgmental glances from neighbors and the whispers at the grocery store. She thinks she can raise 3 kids without a father, cut into her pride like blades. But Maya did not break. She had her mother Gloria, who gave up sleep and health to help her raise the children. and she had her unyielding determination. The early months after the births were a nightmare. Chloe had constant fevers, Liam refused to sleep, and Ava would only stop crying when held. Maya worked night shifts at the hospital, rushing home between shifts to breastfeed, surviving long days on coffee and pure willpower. There were nights when all three cried at once, and she sat on the bathroom floor, face in hands, crying, too wondering if she had the strength to go on. But then, she would look into their amber eyes just like the man she met in Boston, and find the reason to stand up again. Maya had once considered finding Ethan. She searched the internet with nothing but the memory of a hotel room and a smile she couldn't forget. But then she saw him on a magazine cover, standing next to a glamorous actress beneath the headline, Power Couple of the Year. She closed her laptop. Ethan Caldwell, a billionaire, belonged to a world she had no part in. She imagined him looking at her with pity or denying the children. So she chose silence, gave her children names of hope, Chloe, Liam, Ava, and vowed to give them a good life, even if it was built on her love alone. Now Ethan had reappeared like a sudden storm, disrupting the life she had built. Maya couldn't deny the sincerity in his eyes when he looked at the children, but she was afraid. Afraid of the chaos the flashbulbs and tabloids would bring. Afraid he would enter Chloe, Liam, and Ava's lives, only to leave when the novelty wore off. Fearful that her heart, locked away since that night in Boston, might open again, and this time shatter. She stood up and walked to the children's room, gently tucking Ava back in the child, always kicking off her blanket in her sleep. The tiny crescent-shaped birthmark on Ava's wrist shimmered under the nightlight. Maya gave a sad smile. "Moon's blessing," she whispered, remembering Ethan's mention of that mark. Was it truly a blessing, or a reminder of what she had tried hard to forget? A knock on the door startled her. Gloria. Her mother entered holding a cup of hot tea. "You can't sleep, can you?" Her voice was sharp, but filled with love. Maya shook her head. "He's back, Mom, the father of the kids, and I don't know what to do." Gloria sat down beside her, placing a hand on her shoulder. "Listen to me, Maya. You've been stronger than anyone I know. If that man wants to be part of this family, he must prove worthy. But you also need to give yourself a chance to heal. Don't let fear hold you back." Maya nodded, but the fear still clung tightly. She looked out the window at the moonlight spreading across the Queen's sky. Could she trust Ethan? Or was this moonlight just another promise that would vanish by dawn? 1 week after the cafe meeting, Ethan stood outside the indoor playground, feeling like a schoolboy about to take an oral exam. The air was filled with children's laughter and the scent of freshly baked cookies, but his heart pounded with nervous energy. Today would be his first time meeting Chloe, Liam, and Ava as Mom's friend, as Maya had introduced him. He had prepared carefully, a simple blue button-down shirt, no flashy watch, and even skimmed a blog post titled, "How to Talk to 5-Year-Olds." But when Maya arrived with the 3 children, all his plans vanished. Chloe, her hair braided with a pink bow, was the first to run up, her amber eyes glowing with curiosity. "Do you like unicorns?" she asked bluntly, as if this was the ultimate question determining his fate. Ethan smiled, trying to stay calm. "I love them, especially purple ones. They're the best, aren't they?" Chloe nodded solemnly, as if he had just passed a crucial test. Ava, smaller than her sister, but no less confident, stepped forward. "I can count to 100, she declared, hands on her hips. "That's impressive," Ethan said, crouching to meet her eye level. "Would you like to show me?" Ava began to count, her voice clear and deliberate, but she paused at 50 and looked at him as if checking whether he was genuinely listening. Liam, the sharp-eyed boy, hung back slightly, observing Ethan like a tiny detective. Suddenly he lifted his wrist, revealing the crescent-shaped birthmark. "Why do you have this too?" Liam asked, his voice suspicious. Ethan glanced at Maya, who stood a few feet away, her expression a mix of caution and quiet encouragement. He took a deep breath and chose his words carefully. "Sometimes people in the same family share signs like that. Like your eyes. They look a lot like mine, don't they?" He bent closer so Liam could see his own amber eyes. "Are you our family?" Liam asked next, his bluntness leaving Ethan speechless. Before he could answer, Maya stepped in, her voice gentle but firm. "Hey kids, why don't you try the new slide? Mommy and Mr. Ethan will stay here and watch you." She emphasized his name, as if to remind him of the boundaries. The three children rushed toward the slides, leaving Ethan and Maya sitting on a wooden bench. Ethan turned to her, voice lowered. "I didn't know how to answer, Liam. I don't want to lie, but I also don't want to overstep." Maya watched the children, her expression softening but still wary. "They're smarter than we give them credit for. Liam always asks the hard questions. But Ethan, I need to be sure you're serious. To be part of their lives, you must earn their trust step by step." She paused, her eyes sharp again. "And I need to know that you can protect them from your world press cameras, all that comes with being Ethan Caldwell." Ethan nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility settle over him. "I understand. I'll do whatever it takes to protect them. And you, Maya. I'm only asking for a chance to prove that." He looked toward the children, where Chloe was helping Ava climb the slide. "They're incredible. You've done an amazing job." Maya allowed a faint smile, the first since they had reunited. "They're my whole world. But Ethan, there's no room for mistakes in my world. Once a week here to start. If things go well, we'll talk again." As she stood up to call the kids, Ethan watched her, his heart filled with both hope and profound anxiety. Chloe turned back and waved at him, her smile as bright as sunlight. He waved back, knowing that his journey into fatherhood had just begun, and it would be the biggest challenge of his life. 2 weeks after the indoor playground visit, Ethan felt that the weekly meetings with Chloe, Liam, and Ava were gradually becoming the brightest moments in his life. But this morning, when he opened his phone, a headline on a news site made his blood freeze. "Billionaire's secret. Does Ethan Caldwell have 3 hidden children?" Accompanying it was a blurry photo taken from afar, showing him pushing Liam on a swing at the park, with Maya standing next to Chloe and Ava. Though the image wasn't sharp, it was enough to trigger a media storm. Ethan immediately called Maya, but she didn't answer. He drove to her apartment in Queens, his heart pounding with worry. When Maya opened the door, her eyes were icy cold, nothing like the gentle smile he had once seen. "You promised to protect them, Ethan," she said, shaking angrily. She held up her phone, and the same article was on the screen. "This is what I was afraid of. Now the whole world knows about my children." Ethan stepped inside, trying to stay calm, despite the guilt gnawing at him. "Maya, I don't know how this happened. I swear I didn't call the press. It must have been a lurking paparazzo. I'll take care of it, I promise." But Maya shook her head, her arms crossed tightly across her chest. "Take care of it? How do you think a statement from your PR team will make people forget? My kids aren't entertainment for the public, Ethan. They're not a headline to sell papers." In the small living room, Chloe, Liam, and Ava were playing with building blocks. But Liam looked up, sensing the tension. "Mom, what's going on?" he asked, his amber eyes filled with concern. Maya knelt and forced a smile. "Nothing, sweetheart. Mr. Ethan and I are just talking about grown-up stuff. You keep playing, okay?" She stood up and led Ethan into the hallway where the children couldn't hear. In the hallway, her voice lowered, but her anger still blazed. "I told you your world, the lights, the press, all of it, has no place in my children's lives. I spent 5 years keeping them safe away from prying eyes. And now what? One photo, and the entire neighborhood is whispering. A neighbor asked me if I had trapped a billionaire. She paused, breathing deeply to fight back tears. I can't let my children grow up in a media circus, Ethan. Ethan felt like he'd been slapped. He wanted to hold her to say he'd fix everything, but he knew words weren't enough anymore. Maya, I've already contacted my lawyer, Michael Tran. We will release a statement confirming that I'm their father and demanding privacy. I'm also hiring a security team to ensure no one gets near the kids. I won't let this happen again. Maya looked at him, her eyes filled with doubt. You make it sound so easy, but you don't understand. I grew up in a world where people judged me for my skin color, for my job, and for being a single mother. I fought so hard so my kids wouldn't have to face those looks. But you brought that whole world to my doorstep. Her words cut deep, but Ethan didn't flinch. I can't change the past, Maya, but I can change the future. I'll do whatever it takes to protect Chloe, Liam, and Ava, and I'll prove that not with words, but actions. He paused, looking her directly in the eyes. Please give me the chance to make this right. Not for me, for the kids. Maya was silent, her gaze wavering between anger and exhaustion. Finally, she let out a long sigh. I don't know if I can trust you, Ethan, but I won't stop you from seeing the kids. For now. But if this gets out of hand, if my children are hurt in any way, I will cut you off. Do you understand? Ethan nodded, feeling both relieved and burdened. When he returned to the living room, Chloe hugged his leg. Mr. Ethan, come play blocks with us, she chirped, unaware of the storm that had just passed. He knelt smiling at her, but his eyes flicked over to Maya, who stood in the doorway, arms still crossed. He knew he was facing a challenge far greater than any billion-dollar deal, winning back the trust of the woman who had given him a family. 1 month after the leaked photo scandal, Ethan and Maya decided to tell Chloe, Liam, and Ava the truth. The media storm had subsided, thanks to a brief statement from Ethan and the quiet protection of his security team. But Maya remained anxious. She didn't want the children to hear rumors from outsiders before they fully understood who their father was. They chose a quiet corner of the children's favorite park, a bench under an old oak tree, with plenty of space for the kids to run around if they needed to process their emotions. In the gentle afternoon light, Chloe, Liam, and Ava squeezed together on the bench, all wearing matching blue t-shirts Maya had picked out to mark this special moment. Ethan knelt in front of them, his throat dry, while Maya sat beside them, her fingers tightly interlaced to mask her tension. Kids. Maya began, her voice soft but steady. I once told you about your father. He was a good man, but couldn't be with us. Today, your mom and Mr. Ethan wants to share something important. Ethan took a deep breath, his eyes scanning the 3 small faces, their amber eyes, just like his, looking back with curiosity. What your mom means is, I'm your father, he said, raising his wrist to show the crescent-shaped birthmark. That's why we share this mark. Our eyes look the same. I didn't know about you before, but I'm here now and want to be a part of your lives. Silence fell, broken only by the rustle of leaves in the wind. Liam, always the bold one, spoke first. Really? You're our dad. He jumped off the bench, inspecting the mark on Ethan's wrist like a little scientist. Cool. So can I call you Dad? Ethan smiled, his heart easing. Of course, buddy. You can call me whatever you like. Chloe tilted her head, her braided hair swinging. If you're our dad, why don't you live with us? Like Mateo's dad, he's home every day. Her innocent question made Ethan glance at Maya for help. Maya answered gently. Your dad and I met long ago, before you were born. We lost touch, but now he's found us. We're learning how to be a family. Ava, who had been silent all along, suddenly stood, her small hands clenched. "If you're our dad, why weren't you there when I was sick?" Her voice trembled, amber eyes brimming with tears. "Mom says you're good, but why didn't you come sooner if you're good?" Ava's question hit like a dagger, leaving Ethan speechless and Maya stunned. She knelt and pulled Ava into her arms. "Oh, sweetheart, your dad didn't know about us. It's not his fault, but he's here now and wants to be with you." Ava pushed away from her mother, turning to Ethan with defiance. "Will you stay or leave like in that movie Mom watches, where the dad walks out on his kid?" Her words shattered Ethan's heart. He knelt, meeting her eyes, his voice hoarse but sincere. "Ava, I promise you I'm not going anywhere. I've missed so much already, but from now on, I want to be here for you, Liam and Chloe. I'll prove it to you if you give me a chance." Ava looked at him, her gaze still skeptical, but she said nothing more. She nodded and ran toward the swings where Liam and Chloe had already started playing. Maya stood and gently touched Ethan's shoulder. "She needs time," she said, her voice sad but steady. "Ava's always been the cautious one, but she'll be watching you, Ethan, every move you make." Ethan nodded, a mixture of pain and determination surging through him. He watched Ava on the swing, her little legs kicking through the air as if trying to shake off her emotions. "I won't let her down," he said, his voice firm. "I won't let any of them down." Maya sighed as they sat back on the bench, watching the kids play. Telling them is one thing. Making them believe it, that's something else. "Are you ready for that, Ethan?" He looked at her, eyes filled with resolve. "I was born ready, Maya. Just give me the chance." 3 months after Ethan was introduced as the father of Chloe, Liam, and Ava, the Christmas spirit filled Maya's small apartment in Queens. Twinkling lights hung in the windows, and the sweet scent of gingerbread cookies wafted from the kitchen. Ethan had become a familiar part of the children's lives. Saturday afternoons, filled with laughter and bedtime stories, had become their new routine. But today, he faced a new challenge. Gloria Johnson, Maya's mother, who had stood by her through the hardest years. Gloria arrived right on time, a petite woman radiating strength, her silver hair neatly tied back, eyes sharp enough to see through any facade. She hugged her grandkids tightly, handed Maya a plate of homemade cookies, and then turned to Ethan, eyes scanning him with judgment. "So, this is Ethan Caldwell," she said evenly but coldly. The absent father for 5 years now, showing up like some kind of savior. Ethan, who had been helping Liam build a dinosaur model, stood and tried to maintain a polite smile. "Mrs. Johnson, it's a pleasure to meet you. Maya has told me a lot about you, and I'm deeply grateful for everything you've done for her and the kids." He offered his hand, but Gloria nodded without taking it. "Call me Gloria," she said, settling into the armchair. "But don't think sweet words will soften me. I watched my daughter cry every night while carrying 3 children. She worked herself to the bone to afford milk and diapers. Where were you then, Mr. Billionaire?" The room grew tense. Maya, who had been cutting cookies in the kitchen, stepped out and spoke with a warning tone. "Mom, don't." Ethan didn't know about the kids. "We've already talked about this." But Gloria raised a hand to silence her. "I want to hear it from him, Maya. I want to know why I should believe he's not just some rich man chasing a thrill." Ethan felt like he was on trial, but he didn't flinch. He sat across from Gloria, meeting her gaze with sincerity. "Gloria, I don't have an excuse for those 5 years. I didn't know about Chloe, Liam, and Ava, which I'll regret for the rest of my life. But I'm here now not for a thrill, but because they're my children. I want to make it right, not with money, but with time, love, and responsibility." Gloria scoffed, eyes still unmoved. "Responsibility. What do you know about that? Maya faced the judgmental stares of this neighborhood, called a reckless single mom, just because she didn't have a husband. She worked night shifts, slept 3 hours a day, and still smiled so her kids wouldn't see her pain. Have you ever woken up at 3 a.m. to 3 crying children? Her words cut deep, echoing Ava's question in the park. Ethan glanced at Maya, who lowered her head, fists clenched. I haven't experienced that, he admitted hoarsely. And I can't change the past. But I'm learning, Gloria. I've been here every weekend learning to braid Chloe's hair, reading dinosaur books to Liam, and counting with Ava. I'm not perfect, but I want to be a real father. Gloria was silent. Her eyes softened just slightly, but she wasn't swayed. Talk is easy. I'll give you a challenge, Ethan. If you're serious, stay here for Christmas, not as a guest, but as family. Help Maya prepare dinner play with the kids and handle the chaos of 3 5-year-olds. If you can, I'll consider whether you're worthy of my daughter and grandkids. Ethan nodded, eyes steady. I accept, Gloria. I'll be here not just for Christmas, but for every day after that. He turned to Maya and saw her offer a small smile, though her eyes still held worry. As Gloria stood to grab more cookies, Chloe ran up and tugged Ethan's hand. Daddy! Ethan! Tell me the unicorn story. Ethan laughed and lifted her into his arms, but his eyes shifted to Gloria, knowing her challenge was the beginning of a long road to earn her trust. Spring brought a fresh breeze for Maya's family as they moved into a spacious red-brown townhouse in the suburbs of Queens. Ethan had purchased it and placed it in a trust for Chloe, Liam, and Ava. The house had a small backyard, 3 separate bedrooms for the children, and was only a 20-minute drive from the hospital where Maya worked. At first, Maya resisted, worried that Ethan's financial support would strip her of her independence, but she agreed when he emphasized this was about the children's future. Today was moving day, and Ethan had been there since early morning, sleeves rolled up, helping the movers carry boxes. While Maya directed the movers to place the sofa in the living room, Ethan stood in the yard watching Liam run in circles, pretending to be a dinosaur. Dad, this is my dinosaur park, the boy shouted, making Ethan laugh. But Ava stood by the fence with her yellow star-patterned blanket, just watching. Her amber eyes were filled with caution. Though Ethan tried to get close to her over the past few months, Ava kept her distance, as if waiting for him to make a mistake. In the late afternoon, Maya received a call from the hospital. One of the nurses is sick. They need me for the night shift, she said to Ethan, her voice filled with concern. I've never left the kids alone in a new house. Ethan placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. Go, Maya. I'll take care of them. This is my chance to prove I can do it. Maya hesitated, eyeing him critically. You've never been alone with all 3 before, Ethan. They can be chaotic. She rattled off quickly. Pajamas are in the blue suitcase. Her bedtime is 8:30, and Ava needs her star blanket. Liam will try to bargain for more time. Don't let him win. Chloe must brush her teeth twice, or pretend she already did. Ethan nodded mentally, noting every detail, though his heart pounded with anxiety. After Maya left, Ethan gathered the kids in the living room, surrounded by unopened boxes. All right, superhero squad, Dad's in charge tonight, he declared, trying to sound confident. Liam smirked, testing him. Can we have ice cream instead of dinner? Ethan chuckled. Nice try, buddy. How about pizza, but only after we handle the essentials? Pajamas, toothbrushes, stuffed animals. Everything started smoothly. They ate pizza on the dining room floor, turning dinner into an impromptu picnic that Chloe declared was way more fun than a table. But bedtime brought chaos. Liam begged for another story and spilled orange juice on the new rug. Chloe pretended to brush her teeth, leaving toothpaste smeared in the sink. Worst of all, Ava refused to sleep because her star blanket was missing. "Mom always knows where it is," Ava shouted, her eyes brimming with tears. "You don't know anything." Ethan felt like he was losing the battle, but took a deep breath, kneeling before Ava. "You're right. I don't know everything yet, but I'll find your blanket. Just stay here with Chloe and Liam, okay?" He rummaged through boxes, finally discovering the blanket in a suitcase behind the bed. She hugged it tightly when he handed it to Ava, though her eyes remained wary. "Thanks," she whispered, then turned away. Ethan offered a solution to ease the tension. "Tonight, we can all sleep in Liam's room like a sleepover. Tomorrow, we'll try the separate rooms." The kids agreed, and Ethan laid out mattresses and blankets, building a cozy nest in the middle of the floor. He made a bedtime story about moon warriors who protected crescent moon marks, making Liam and Chloe giggle. Ava said nothing, but she listened, clutching her blanket. When the children finally drifted off, Ethan sat in the darkness, exhausted and proud. Maya returned around midnight, surprised to find him quietly cleaning the kitchen. "Everything okay?" she asked, eyes scanning for signs of disaster. "Better than okay," Ethan replied, smiling wearily. "They're all sleeping in Liam's room. There were a few challenges, but we made it through." Maya looked at him, her expression softening. "Thank you, Ethan. Not just for tonight, but for trying." She lightly touched his hand, a small gesture that made Ethan's heart swell. But as she went to check on the children, Ethan knew the real challenge, earning Ava and Maya's trust, was still ahead. The 6th birthday of Chloe, Liam and Ava, was as vibrant as a spring painting, with the backyard of the red-brown townhouse transformed into a wonderland. Ethan and Maya had planned it for an entire month. A mini petting zoo with bunnies and baby goats, a face painter, and a 3-tiered cake with a theme for each child: dinosaurs, for Liam unicorns, for Chloe, and stars for Ava. Laughter and children's music filled the air, but Ethan sensed a subtle tension in Maya's eyes, as if she feared everything was too perfect to last. As the sun set and the backyard twinkled under string lights, Ethan found Maya in a quiet corner near the gift table. She was arranging the goodie bags, her curls cascading down her shoulders, her dark skin glowing under the warm lights. Ethan walked over, holding a small silver-wrapped gift box. "I have something for you," he said, his voice low and warm. "Not for the kids, just for you." Maya looked up, surprised. "Ethan, you didn't have to." But he raised a hand, gently stopping her. "I wanted to." She opened the box to find a delicate silver necklace with 3 small crescent moon pendants, each representing Chloe, Liam, and Ava. "I saw it and thought of you," Ethan said with a smile. "A reminder of your 3 little lights, and mine." Maya touched the pendants, her eyes softening. "It's beautiful," she whispered. "Will you help me put it on?" Ethan stepped closer, his fingers brushing her neck as he clasped the necklace. The space between them shrank, their breaths mingling in the cool air. Under the dim lights, Ethan felt his heart pound, as if they were back in Boston on that fateful night. He leaned in, their lips just inches apart, when a cry startled them both. Liam came running, tears streaming down his cheeks, his dinosaur face paint-smudged. "Dad! Mom!" he sobbed, clinging to Maya's leg. "Tommy said I don't have a real dad, that you're just some rich guy pretending." Ethan felt angry, but Maya knelt and wrapped Liam in her arms. "Sweetheart, don't listen to Tommy. Your dad is your real dad. Nothing anyone says can change that." Ethan knelt beside them, placing a hand on Liam's shoulder. "Listen to me, Liam. I'm here because I love you, Chloe and Ava, not because of money or anything else." He gently wiped Liam's tears, his voice firm yet tender. "My mother used to tell me that people with crescent moon marks are always strong. You have that mark, don't you? That means you're stronger than silly words. Liam sniffled, holding up his wrist where the moon-shaped birthmark shimmered. Am I firm? Ethan nodded. The strongest. Now go tell Tommy your dad's a moon knight, okay? Liam grinned and ran back to his friends. Maya watched him go, her expression a mix of gratitude and worry. When Liam disappeared into the crowd, Maya stood and touched her new necklace. Thank you, Ethan. Not just for Liam, but for everything. She paused, her gaze wavering. But words like Tommy's, they scare me. The kids will face things like that because of me, you, and we're different. Ethan took her hand, his voice steady. We'll teach them how to face it, Maya. Together. He wanted to say more to pull her close again, but Chloe's voice rang out from across the yard. Mom, time to cut the cake. Maya gave him a small smile, letting go of his hand. Half an hour from now, when the kids are asleep, let's finish this conversation. Ethan nodded, watching her walk away, the necklace catching the light as she moved. He knew that moment was only the beginning, but Liam's words lingered in his mind. How do you protect your children from the cruel whispers of the world? The parent-teacher conference at Chloe, Liam, and Ava's kindergarten was a milestone Ethan and Maya had anticipated. The new school, located in a better district, thanks to the red-brown townhouse Ethan had purchased, offered their children a chance to thrive. But as Ethan stepped into the classroom, with watercolor paintings on the walls and the faint scent of chalk in the air, he sensed a quiet tension. Ava, who had kept her emotional distance since learning he was her father, sat in the corner of the room clutching her yellow star blanket, her amber eyes avoiding his. Ms. Harper, a warm-smiled middle-aged teacher, began the meeting by praising the children's progress. Liam is full of energy, though he needs to focus more during story time, she said. Chloe has a vivid imagination. The stories she tells are remarkable. And Ava. Ms. Harper paused, glancing at Ethan and Maya. Ava is excellent at math, but lately she's been rather quiet, especially when discussing family. Before Maya could respond, Ava suddenly stood up, her voice trembling, yet defiant. He's not my real dad, she shouted, pointing at Ethan, tears streaming down her face. He's just pretending so everyone likes him. He's going to leave just like the dads on TV. The room fell silent. Other parents turned to look, eyes filled with curiosity and judgment. Ethan's chest tightened, as if the floor had collapsed beneath him. Maya knelt to comfort Ava, but the girl pushed her away and ran to the corner, clutching her blanket tighter. Ava, sweetheart, he is your real dad, Maya said, her voice choked with emotion. He loves you, and he's here for you. But Ava shook her head, sobbing. No, if he loved me, why wasn't he here when I feared monsters in the closet? Why wasn't he here when I had a tummy ache? Ethan rose to his feet and walked toward her, ignoring the eyes around him. He knelt a few feet away, his voice low but steady. Ava, you're right. I wasn't there when you needed me, and I won't say I can erase all those years because I can't. He paused, breathing deeply, locking his amber eyes with hers. But I want you to know something. When I was your age, my father left me too. He chose work and money over staying with me. I was scared too, just like you are now. I thought maybe I wasn't good enough for him to stay. Ava's sobbing slowed. Her eyes, still wary now, carried a trace of curiosity. Ethan continued, voice hoarse with emotion. I promise you, Ava, I'm not like him. I'm here because you, Chloe, and Liam are the most important people in my life. And if you give me the chance, I'll prove it to you daily. He held up his wrist, revealing the crescent moon birthmark. This mark isn't just a shape. It's a promise from me to you. Ava looked at the mark, then at Maya, seeking affirmation. Maya nodded, her eyes full of feeling. He's telling the truth, sweetheart. But it's okay if you're not ready to believe him. You get to choose when you're ready. Ava didn't speak, but nodded slightly and allowed Maya to embrace her. Sensing the sensitivity of the moment, Ms. Harper swiftly changed the subject, inviting the parents to view the students' art. After the meeting, Ethan and Maya walked the kids to the car. Ava held Maya's hand, still quiet. In the parking lot, Maya turned to Ethan, her voice soft. What you said to Ava about your dad, you've never told me that before. Ethan gave a sad smile. It's not a memory I enjoy revisiting. But if it helps Ava understand that I won't abandon her, then it's worth it. Maya gently touched his hand, her eyes kind. You did well, Ethan. But Ava will need time. And She paused as if on the edge of saying something deeper when Liam ran up, tugging Ethan's hand. Dad, I'm hungry. Can we get hamburgers? Ethan laughed and nodded, but his eyes remained on Maya. He knew this moment was only the beginning of healing Ava's wounds, and perhaps theirs too. The family's first summer vacation at the beachfront house in Long Island was Ethan's surprise gift. A hidden getaway on white sands with a sparkling view of the ocean. Since the photo leak in the press 6 months ago, Ethan had carefully chosen this spot to avoid media attention, ensuring Chloe, Liam, and Ava could play freely without the click of paparazzi cameras. Under the July sun, the house echoed with children's laughter, the scent of sea salt, and the growing sense of a family slowly coming together. That evening, after the kids had bathed and changed into pajamas, Ethan sat on the porch watching Maya help Ava tie up her hair. Liam and Chloe were playfully arguing about whose sandcastle had looked better that day. Ava, though still quiet around Ethan, had begun calling him Dad in unexpected moments, like when he helped her find seashells on the beach. That slight shift warmed Ethan's heart, though he knew she was still testing him, watching every move. Maya stepped onto the porch, holding 2 glasses of lemonade, her eyes gentle yet tinged with fatigue. The kids are so excited I doubt they'll be asleep before midnight, she said, handing him a glass. Ethan smiled and clinked his glass with hers. They're enjoying it. This is their first time at the ocean, right? Maya nodded, gazing out at the moonlit waves. I never thought I'd be able to give them a vacation like this. Thank you, Ethan. They sat side by side on the porch swing, the silence broken only by the sound of the waves. Ethan felt the closeness between them, a quiet thread that had grown over the months of parenting together. Maya, he began, his voice low, I want to talk about us. She turned to him, her eyes both curious and cautious. Us. He took a breath, eyes locked on hers. That night in Boston 5 years ago wasn't just a passing moment for me. I felt something real. And even though we lost touch, I never stopped thinking about you. These past months, being a father and being beside you, and the kids, made me realize I want more. Not just a co-parent. I want a family, us all, 5 of us. Maya looked down at her lemonade fingers tightening around the glass. Ethan, I felt something that night too. When I discovered I was pregnant, I kept your image in mind, wondering if the kids would have your eyes. But now, it's more complicated. We're not just 2 people trying to love. We're parents. If we try and fail, the ones who get hurt will be our children. Ethan reached for her hand, feeling a slight tremble. I know it's a risk, Maya. But I'm not trying. That's what I'll regret the most. I'm not promising perfection. But I promise to take it 1 step at a time with you for the kids. He paused, eyes full of truth. I love you, Maya, from that first night and every day since I found you again. She looked at him, torn between fear and longing, She inhaled deeply as if crossing an invisible boundary. "I love you too, Ethan," she whispered, trembling. "But I'm scared. Scared love might hurt the kids. Scared your world might swallow us. But I want to try. One step at a time, like you said." Under the full moon, the crescent pendant on Maya's necklace glinted in the light. Ethan leaned in, and this time nothing stopped them. Their lips met gently but deeply, like a vow sealed after years apart. The kiss carried them back to that night in Boston, but now it held the promise of a shared future. As they pulled away, Maya smiled, her cheeks glistening with tears. "The kids will notice," she murmured, half joking. Ethan chuckled, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "That's okay. I want them to know their parents love each other." Ava appeared at the door, hugging her yellow star blanket. "Mom, Dad." "I can't sleep," she said, her eyes curiously scanning their faces. Ethan rose and knelt before her. "Want a Moon Warrior bedtime story?" Princess Ava nodded, and for the first time let him carry her. She rested her head on his shoulder as he walked her inside. Maya watched them, eyes full of emotion. As Ethan tucked Ava into bed, he knew the kiss under the moonlight wasn't just a beginning for him and Maya. It was also one more step toward opening Ava's heart. A year after the moonlit kiss at the beach house, the brownstone in Queens had truly become a home for Ethan, Maya, Chloe, Liam, and Ava. Ethan had moved in 6 months ago, gradually adjusting to daily life, taking the kids to school, helping Maya with dinner, and learning how to handle toddler tantrums. A simple engagement ring sparkled on Maya's finger, a gift from Ethan on a quiet night when the children were asleep and moonlight streamed through the window. They hadn't rushed to marry, wanting to give the children time to adjust, but the promise was deeply etched in their hearts. This summer, the family returned to the beach house where everything began to change. Beneath the bright sun, Chloe, Liam, and Ava, now 7 years old, ran across the sand building castles and collecting shells. Liam had become captain of his Little League soccer team, proudly showing Ethan his medals after every game. Chloe flourished as an artist, filling the fridge with drawings of unicorns and oceans. And Ava, once the most skeptical of Ethan, now excelled in math and sometimes curled up in his lap to hear Moon Warrior stories. On the final evening of their vacation, Ethan and Maya sat on the porch watching the kids play tag on the beach. A full moon hung in the sky, its reflection creating a silver path across the ocean. Maya rested her head on Ethan's shoulder, her crescent moon necklace glowing under the light. "I can't believe how much has changed," she said softly. "A year ago, I was afraid to open my heart. And now, look at us." Ethan kissed her forehead, feeling a peace he had never known before. "I used to think I had everything: money, power, fame. But until I met you and the kids, I had nothing. You gave me a family, Maya." She smiled, though her eyes flickered with concern. "Do you ever think about everything we've faced, the press, the judgment, the stares?" "Sometimes I'm still afraid, Ethan. Afraid the world won't let us be." Ethan took her hand, his voice steady. "We're stronger than the world, Maya. We've faced everything: chaotic nights with the kids, cruel whispers, and we're still here. Together." From the beach, Ava came running, breathless, her amber eyes glowing. "Mom, Dad, I found a starfish. Look." She held up a tiny shell, shimmering in the moonlight. Ethan knelt beside her, amazed. "Wow, Princess, that's beautiful. Want to keep it?" Ava nodded, then asked unexpectedly, "Daddy, when you and Mommy get married, will we have a baby?" The question made Ethan and Maya burst into laughter. Their eyes met, full of warmth. "Well," Ethan said, winking at Maya, "we'll have to discuss that. What do you think about a baby sibling?" Ava thought carefully as serious as a little mathematician. Just one. 3 like us is too much. Mommy gets tired. Maya hugged her, laughing. You are a genius, Ava. As Ava ran back to join Chloe and Liam, Ethan pulled Maya close and whispered, She's right. 3 is plenty for a superhero like you. Maya playfully nudged his chest, but her smile outshone the moon. Maybe one more someday, but not now. Let the kids enjoy having you all to themselves for a while. They stood up and walked down to the beach hand in hand. The children ran toward them, Chloe grabbing Ethan and Liam, pulling Maya and Ava for the first time, holding both their hands. Beneath the moonlight, they played, their laughter blending with the rhythm of the waves. Ethan looked at his family, Maya's radiant smile, the children's glowing amber eyes, and knew this was what he had been searching for all his life. The moon lit their path, a reminder of the moon's blessing his grandmother once spoke of. Perhaps it was fate, perhaps love. Ethan didn't need to define it. He only knew that every trial had been worth it to have this family, from a single night in Boston to this moment. What do you think makes a happy ending for a family? Is it love, patience, or something else? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your story.